My name is Ayleen Cabas, and I was a student at Ohio University between 2014 and 2016 when I did my master's in journalism. I met Dr. Sweeney back then through email. I was a journalist in Venezuela trying to get into grad school in this foreign, strange place. Every single application felt like a long shot. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what to expect. I had very little awareness of what grad school even was. When acceptance letters started coming, it was truly a shock. But Dr. Sweeney's emails were always distinctive. There was something in his prose, in the way he connected me with resources, in the way that he always communicated confidence that I could be this program and thrive, even as an international student with no connections to the United States or American journalism. And his faith always spoke to me. His faith in my success and what we could do with my career always spoke to me. So I attended Ohio University, and he was right. His faith was well placed, and he ensured to give me all the resources, all the inspiration to be able to start a life in research. He was part of my thesis committee, and he always provided the best advice to keep my curiosity alive, to keep me from falling into despair in those moments when research is so obscure and you don't understand what's going on and you just want to quit. You have all this data, you don't know how to make sense of it. That uncertainty that is so inherent to research and so hard to navigate, he made it easy. He made it worth it. More than bearable, he made it enjoyable. And for that, I will always be indebted to him. My career right now as a scholar and as a teacher, I say, is because of him. And every time I enter a classroom, I feel that his legacy is with me, that the kindness, the passion that he had for students, for teaching, for mentoring, all of that is with me. Many times I even make it explicit to students. I tell them that I had a professor who taught me not just about journalism, but about life. And that is the standard that I'm always after. So even though Dr. Sweeney is no longer with us, I am confident that every single one of his students, every single one of his mentees, we are all carrying his legacy in every single classroom that we're in. We are following an example of kindness. We're following an example of professionalism. And well, we will always try to follow up that amazing research that he did. But at the end of the day, we're all part of the Sweeney legacy. And that's truly an honor and a privilege that I know we all take very seriously.
My name is Ken Ward, and I worked with Mike when I was working on my PhD at Ohio University. So that was beginning in 2015 and for the 3 years that I was there in Athens. I went to Ohio University specifically to work with Mike. He was the reason that I was there. I got some really good advice from people close to me when I was looking for a PhD program, that you should go somewhere to work with someone, that's why you go to a program. And absolutely everyone I talked to told me to go work with Mike, and so I did, and I'm very grateful for that advice to go work with him. The thing that stands out most in reflecting on my relationship with Mike is he had such individual relationships with his graduate students. And you can say that a lot of people treat other people as individuals, but when you're a graduate student, the relationship with your professors is often, you can tell that they are very kind and very helpful to their students, but it's very much they treat everybody the same way. They kind of have a process because they see so many students, and It wasn't that way at all with Mike. When I talked to other graduate students, other people who worked really closely with him, everybody knew a different side of Mike. He let different people see different sides of him. We had different experiences with him. He could tell what you needed and the ways that he could help you and build a relationship with you. And that's what he did. He was a remarkably intelligent person, as everyone knows. The way that it showed in Mike was extremely inspiring to me as one of his students, because it gave me something to aspire to. He liked knowing the answers. And he was also not afraid to show you something that he knew that you needed to know. I know so much more about the Vietnam War than was even relevant to my research, because Mike found ways to teach me about that, and I'm glad that he did. He was great at identifying the way that he could help us uniquely. If he could tell that you needed a lot of help with something, he was willing to do it. But if you showed that you needed some independence, he was willing to do that too. I'm extremely grateful for the time that I spent with Mike. And I don't think that it's difficult at all to see the impact that he's had on the community, on my community, journalism historians, Athens, Ohio University. It's, again, inspiring to see what a large impact one person can have in the lives of so many other people.
My name is Carey. I'm an associate professor of journalism at Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm also a proud graduate of the E.W. Scripps School of Journalism. I received my master's degree there as well as my PhD, and Mike Sweeney was really the reason that I came to Ohio University, and he was also one of the big reasons that I stayed there. And I think the thing about Mike that stands out the most to me is how willing he was to give of himself to help other people. I think that's one of the things that made him a truly great professional mentor and also a truly great friend. There were several moments during my time at OU when I felt that I would never be a good teacher, that I didn't have a future in higher education, and that maybe coming to grad school in the first place had been a big mistake for me. And Mike was always there for me in those moments. He would listen to what I was going through, and Mike was really great at that. He was a great listener, but he also went above and beyond to help me work out the things that I was going through, to help me figure out how to become an effective teacher in the classroom, whether that meant taking time out of his schedule to sit in on a class, or looking over an assignment with me, or helping me navigate a problem that I might have been having with a student at the time. Mike was always there for me, and Mike was really great at always making me feel like I was a priority to him. And I know that I was, as were so many other people in that program and so many other people in our orbit. He demonstrated such extraordinary and genuine care and empathy and compassion to so many of us who were trying to find our way toward a very new profession. And my relationship with Mike could have stopped there and it would have been amazing. But he cared so much for all of us as people outside the classroom, too. He was my friend, and he was a great friend to me and to so many of us who moved to Athens as adults with no real social network and no real connection to the place. He checked in on me periodically after I graduated to make sure that things were going okay and that I was settling in to my new professional role. I know that I mattered to Mike because he made sure to show me that I mattered to him. When I think today about the kind of mentor that I want to be to my students, I think about the kind of mentor and friend that Mike Sweeney was to me, because he always came to me in every interaction from a position of true and genuine care. which is really, I think, a hallmark of who he was as a person, and was part of the reason that he had such a profound impact on so many people.
Hi there, my name is Natascha Roelsgaard, and I am one of the many, many people who've been so incredibly lucky to have Dr. Michael Sweeney as a professor, as a mentor, and even as a friend at the EW Scripps School of Journalism. And I can confidently say that Dr. Sweeney has left a lifelong impression on so many of his students, and that his compassion and his generosity are something that we'll all carry with us as we continue on our own individual paths. And I believe Dr. Sweeney had this superpower where he was able to see good in absolutely everyone, even when people couldn't see it for themselves. And he taught with his heart on his sleeve. He was so incredibly devoted to his teaching, so much so that it sometimes felt like watching this great theater play unfold in the classroom when he was just completely submerged in his material and he brought it to life. And over the years, I got to work with Dr. Sweeney on several different projects. And I was especially honored when he asked me to help him complete a book project that he'd spent more than 10 years researching and writing. He had traveled the world, he learned a new language just to gather all the necessary primary documents for this specific project. And I think what was the most wonderful experience about this, as a humble grad student, was to get to experience the magic up close, working alongside Dr. Sweeney as he would say the wheels were turning. He was a good writer, he said, but he was a better editor. And working alongside him, that became so incredibly clear. He had this unique ability to string our work together and to create a compelling narrative, to edit, our writing to make it the best it could be. And I think the fact that he included me really speaks to who he was as a person. He was ever supportive of his students. He always advocated for his students and treated us as equals. And he saw great value in our contributions, whether that was in academia or the world at large. And I think that's one of my greatest lessons from Dr. Sweeney. He poured his heart into his work, and he poured his heart into everything he did. And he would always say, you can have the biggest brain in the world and you can have all the success, but none of that matters if you don't practice kindness. And that's something that that will stay with me forever.